What's up, adventurers? My name is Platinum Phoenix, and welcome back to Pokemon FireRed. Last time, we took the fast route over to Fuchsia City through the cycling road. And this time, we're going to take the longer route down through Route 12 through Route 15. But the first thing we want to do is actually go through here and head up here. And I found out something weird. For some reason, you can run in the bottom of these transitional, buildings, but you can't run in the top, which is super weird. But we just want to talk to this girl. My Pokemon Ashes are stored in Pokemon Tower. You can have this TM. I don't need it anymore. And she gives us TM 27, which is Return. If you treat your Pokemon good, it will return your love by working its hardest in battle. Return is actually an amazing move to have, because the friendlier your Pokemon is to you, the higher the base damage or the base power is of Return. And we are just going to try to avoid as many of these guys as possible, because all of them are able to turn back and forth. I know as soon as I step forward. Son of a bitch, I knew it. I knew as soon as I stepped forward it was going to happen. How many Pokemon do you have? Two's not bad. It actually gives me a chance to talk about that if you're watching this video, it's for one of two very specific reasons. The first is that you're just watching my playlist, which means you're watching all of my episodes, in which case, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Or the second reason is that you just want to see the longer route to Fuchsia City, and maybe you're playing along and just want to see both routes. But we are just taking out this Goldeen real quick. Raiju putting in good work against all these fishers. Taking out all the water types real quickly. Fisherman Chip defeated. That one got away. And now I'm going to try to be more careful. Alright, and if you would turn the other way, thank you very much. And now we just want to run down here and have another fisherman that wants to turn back and forth, and I'm just gonna run past all of these guys. And now we're on to the second Snorlax that we can fight. I went over Snorlax very in-depth last episode, so I'm not gonna do it in this episode, but instead, what I am gonna do is I'm gonna show what happens if you actually defeat the Snorlax. Because last episode, I took the time to catch the Snorlax, as you can see by the Pokeball. But we're just going to see if we can just defeat it real quick. These things are so tanky. That was a critical hit. I really should switch over to Zodiac, because Zodiac has Brick Break and a lot of physical attack. Oh yeah, I'm definitely switching now. I'm not being put to sleep. I refuse, Snorlax. Go Zodiac. That's actually fine. Something I didn't mention last episode is that both of these Snorlaxes actually have a 100% chance of holding a Chesto Berry, which allows them to wake up as soon as they use Roost, or not Roost, Rest. But if you are able to catch them or you thief on them before they use Rest, then you can steal their Chesto Berry and basically stop them from using it and get a free Chesto Berry out of it, actually. But this Snorlax is being real irritating, although it shouldn't be able to do anything now since it's asleep and doesn't have the Chesto Berry to wake up. Come on, Zodiac, hit it. What? Jesus Christ, it has Snore. Come on, Zodiac, just take it out. There we go. If I remember correctly, yeah, Snorlax actually gives a decent amount of XP, giving 660 if you can beat it with one Pokemon. And Snorlax calmed down and gave a huge yawn and returned to the mountain. But if we open our bag and go to the town map, depending on what you define as a mountain, you have Mount Moon somewhere over here. You have Mount Moon here, right? And that's the only real mountain in this entire region, which means either you are fighting the Snorlax that's like right here, and it goes across over this way to the mountain, or you did what I just did and fought the one right here, and it like books it across the region, which is very funny to think about. This Pokemon known for sleeping just being like, all right, I'm out of here. But the next thing I want to do is actually go over here, because if you remember a couple of episodes ago, we talked to this aide, and he said if we had 30 species of Pokemon, he would give us the item finder, and we only had 21 at the time. So now we should have plenty. We have 45 kinds. So now we have the item finder, which actually makes finding hidden items throughout the region a lot easier, which makes it really nice to have, actually. Yes, we can detect hidden items. Thank you very much. And that's the last thing I want here, so we're just gonna head back over to Route 12. And head south from where that Snorlax was. And next I want to go into this house, because this guy, if we talk to him, I'm the fishing guru's younger brother. I simply love fishing. I can't bear to go without it. Tell me, do you like to fish? Yes, I do. Grand, I like your style. I think we can be friends. Take this and fish, young friend. And he gives us the super rod, which is the strongest fishing rod in the game, and is actually, there's one in between the old rod and the super rod that we don't have access to yet, but you get the super rod first for some reason, and I don't actually know why. Thank you. Gigantic Magikarp. I'll be honest, I wasn't reading that entirely, so he said gigantic Magikarp, and it threw me off guard real bad. And I'm just gonna cut this down because I want to see what this item is. Actually, we just fight this picnicker, I assume. I'm searching for a moonstone. Have you found one? Dude, you're like halfway across the region from where you can find moonstones. There's literally a whole mountain called Mount Moon. What are you doing here? Alright, Nidoran male. And we're just gonna shockwave it because I do not want to be poisoned. Go ahead and take it out. Yeah, these things are... these Pokemon are 10 full levels lower than us. And a Nidorino, which means I'm actually gonna switch over to Zodiac. Because Zodiac cannot be poisoned and has dig. So we're just gonna dig. I wish I could get Earthquake already. Earthquake would make these battles go so much faster because one, it's stronger than Dig. Dig's 80 power and Earthquake's 100 power. And plus, Earthquake does not take 2 turns to do. So we don't have to wait the extra turn between digs to actually take out Pokemon. But with that being said, this item right here is an iron. Raises the EV of the defense EV of Pokemon. And do you turn? You do, but you turn that way. Alright, and we're just gonna go past you. And now's the point in the video where I'm going to apologize, because there are a metric ton of Pokemon that we could now find between this route, the next route, and the Super Rod that we just got. So there are a ton of bios that we're about to go over. But with that being said, the first of the new Pokemon we can find in this route is Venonat. Venonat actually becomes a pretty decent special attacker, having decently high special attack and not being the fastest Pokemon of all, but it's not super slow. It also learns all of the powder moves, being Sleep Powder, Poison Powder, and Stun Spore, allowing it to be a very versatile support Pokemon. But it also learns just a lot of Psychic type moves for some reason, and no Bug or Poison type moves at all for whatever reason. It also has what I would describe as a decent TM moves, or TM list. Basically by that, I mean it gets Giga Drain and Psychic from TMs, which allows it to have some variety in its moveset, and it allows it to actually be able to do some type of damage. And the last thing about Venonat and actually Venomoth, its evolved form, is that its typing is the biggest thing that holds it back. It being a bug poison type is just not a great typing. It has 4 fairly common weaknesses, being fire, flying, psychic, and rock. And it just makes it really hard to use a Venonat in any meaningful way. But with that being said, the next Pokemon that you can find here is actually a FireRed exclusive. It's Gloom. And Gloom actually has some things going for it. Like, it gets Moonlight at level 35, which is not super far off from when you catch it, between levels 24 and 28, I believe. But other than that, it has a lot of the same problems as Oddish. It doesn't really get any good moves. It doesn't really have a very good TM list, being very limited to like Giga Drain and stuff like that. And other than that, unless you want to get Moonlight on your Gloom, you can evolve Gloom whenever you want, making it basically a fully evolved Pokemon as soon as you catch it. And the next Pokemon is Gloom's Leaf Green counterpart. It is Weepin' Bell, not Victory Bell. It's very similar to Gloom, if I'm being honest. You can evolve it almost immediately because it doesn't learn anything good after you find it. And it actually has a better TM list than Gloom, learning a few extra good moves. But nothing that I would really recommend, honestly. It's more stuff that is like decent if you're planning to use a Weepin' Bell and want it to have at least some type of variety in its movesets, but there's nothing truly spectacular within it. And now all of the rest of the Pokemon we need to go over are the Super Rod encounters. So the first of the Super Rod encounters is actually Psyduck. Psyduck is actually a super well-rounded Pokemon. Once it's fully evolved, its lowest stat is 78, which is amazing, actually, making it really good at just taking attacks and doing damage. And other than that, it's kind of hard to use. And the reason I say that is because its level up moveset is just plain trash. It gets Confusion and Scratch, and that is it. Until level 44. That's higher than basically all of my Pokemon. And it's probably going to be higher than all of your Pokemon as well. The only saving grace that Psyduck and Golduck in turn have is that it has a really good TM list, getting moves like Ice Beam, Calm Mind, Brick Break, and Hyper Beam through TM. And being really versatile when it comes to being able to customize its moveset using TM. Other than that, Psyduck is a FireRed exclusive, so if you're playing Leaf Green, you won't be able to find it. But in contrast to Psyduck, the Leaf Green exclusive is Slowpoke. Slowpoke actually has two really good abilities that prevent statuses, but in my opinion, Confusion happens a lot more than Infatuation happens, so one of the abilities is better than the other. Slowpoke also just has a really good typing. Water and Psychic being paired together actually covers a lot of each other's weaknesses to do at least neutral damage against everything. But Slowpoke is also the slowest Pokemon in the game. So I wouldn't say that you're going to be outspeeding anything. So the good typing is contrasted by the poor speed, but has a pretty good TM list, getting things like Water Gun, Confusion, and Rest through level up. But it has an even better TM list, getting things like Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, all of the special moves you would ever want on it through TM. And Slowpoke and Slowbro, in turn, are actually really good defensive Pokemon. being able to take a lot of hits and then being able to deal damage or set up afterwards. And the last thing about Slowpoke is that Slowking doesn't exist as of Kanto, so you cannot get Slowking in the main story of this game. Sort of like a lot of the other Gen 2 evolutions of these Pokemon. Another one of the Pokemon that you can find here, you've actually seen me catch already, is Horsey. Horsey is found in FireRed with the Super Rod. And again, just like Slowking, Kingdra does not exist. So you're not getting the super powerful Dragon-type Kingdra in this game. But even just being Horsey and Seadra, it is a pretty decent special sweeper. So it has that going for it, but it has a very lackluster level up moveset, having nothing over 40 power until level 51, which is insane. But it does learn moves like Ice Beam, Surf, and Hidden Power through TMs and HMs, so it becomes a pretty respectable Pokemon in the long run if you plan to use it. Just remember, it doesn't get the Dragon typing, so it is a pure Water type in this game. But the Leaf Green counterpart to Horsey is Krabby. And I say that sort of iffily because both of them are only quote-unquote exclusives when you're using the Super Rod. Later in the game, they become available in both games. But Krabby actually has amazing abilities, being able to either block crits, which God knows I need at this point, or being able to not have its attack lowered, which, being a physical attacker, is a really good ability for it. The other things about it, it has a pretty alright level up moveset, getting both Stomp and Crab Hammer, which Crab Hammer, being a special attack in this game, is not great for it, but it is at least a stab move for it, and a decent one at that. It also, like I've already mentioned, has a massive attack stat once it's fully evolved, and can actually get a pretty decent moveset through TMs and move tutors. But as I've stated already, its typing and stat distributions don't align, being a water type in this game, being a special type, but having high physical attack instead of high special attack. And the last new Pokemon that you can fish up here with the Super Rod is Gyarados. And I've technically already got over Gyarados when we talked about Magikarp, but to briefly go over it again, it has an amazing ability in Intimidate. It gets its moves, type, and stats are really fighting each other, if I'm being honest. Its types and moves are very specially oriented, being more focused on doing special damage rather than doing physical damage. But its stats really focus on the physical damaging aspect and being a physical attacker. So it's really fighting for what it wants to do. But it can actually get a really decent moveset, being Dragon Dance, Earthquake, Return, and Hyper Beam. Just being able to sweep through Pokemon really easily after it sets up with Dragon Dance. And if you don't want to train a Magikarp, you can very easily get one here, or get a Gyarados here, and just fly through battles with it. But with those gone over, we're actually on Route 13 now, and we're just making our way through these trainers, trying not to get caught. And I believe I'm almost through all of them, because there is a very specific route you can go through here to not get caught by anything. And also, did that say... Hold on. Is this... Okay, this is Route 14. And between Route 13 and Route 14, there are actually 2 more new Pokemon. As you can see the grass right there. The first is Pidgeotto. And it's kind of weird going over Pidgeotto, considering Pidgey was the first Pokemon I ever talked about in this game. Pidgeotto is a decent Pokemon, as I went over in the first episode, but at this point, there are better flying types. We've had access to better flying types for a while now, and it's kind of hard to recommend Pidgeotto at this point. But if you want to use a Pidgeot still, this is your last chance to get it. Or one of your last chance to get it. I shouldn't say last chance because that's not true. But also, if you want to use Pidgeotto, or Pidgeot, you can actually get around the problem of it only having wing attack for a while because we already have the Fly HM. So you can just teach it Fly and have a pretty decent flying move on it. But the other Pokemon you can find here is Ditto. And Ditto is an interesting case. It's straight up awful in combat. In battles, it's just bad. It's very reliant on its gimmick, which is the transform gimmick. Ditto only learns one move and only has one move for its entire life, being transform, which you can actually see if you're looking at the battle I'm doing right now. And what it does is it takes on all of the stats except for the HP of the Pokemon that it transforms into. Meaning that it becomes a carbon copy of whatever you're fighting, except worse because Ditto's HP is awful and it doesn't copy the HP stat. So with that, it's not super great. The only other thing, there's actually two other things. Ditto has a chance of being found with the metal powder, which gives Ditto a raise in its defense stat. But since it's transforming into Pokemon anyway, it's taking on their stat, meaning that it doesn't really do much. And the other thing is Ditto is known as the breeding Pokemon because in Gen 2, breeding was invented, I guess, in Pokemon. And Ditto can breed with any Pokemon that has a gender, regardless of what the Pokemon's gender is. So it makes it so you can get basically eggs of any Pokemon by just using a Ditto. And with those two gone over, I'm actually trying to catch this Ditto, and it is not cooperating. But it did just show me that I could paralyze electric types in this game, so I'm just going to do that and start throwing Great Balls at it. I really just want to get as many Pokemon because I know there's at least a few more of Professor Oak's aides that I need to talk to, and I forget how many Pokemon that I need. So if I can catch this one, that would have been 3 more that I caught in between the start of this episode and now. I'm just going to quick attack it again, I think. This shouldn't take it out. Okay. Wow, Raichu is surprisingly tanky. I would have expected Bite to have done more. Come on, Ditto. The other thing is, once Ditto transforms, I'm pretty sure it takes on the catch rate of the Pokemon it transforms into, which Jolteon doesn't have a great one. Do I want to use an Ultra Ball? I think I'm going to use an Ultra Ball. We'll see if this catches it. If it doesn't, I'll go back to Great Balls. 1. Alright, I guess it's not catching it. Back to Great Balls, I guess. Ditto, can you just get in the ball? I'm not even wanting to use you. Thank you. You annoying Pokemon. Ditto added to the Pokedex. And no, I'm not giving you a nickname because you're going straight into the box. And the last thing I think we want to do in this episode is actually come up here. Because like I said, there's at least one more aid. Hi, remember me? I'm one of Professor Oak's aides. If your Pokedex has complete data on 50 species, I'm supposed to give you a reward. Entrusted me with an XP share for you. Now, Phoenix, let me ask you, have you gathered data on at least 50 kinds of Pokemon? I think I have 48, which sucks. Damn it, I'm so close. In fact, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go train up 2 Pokemon and evolve them, and then talk to this guy again. So I'll be right back. All right, we are back. What I did is I actually just went straight on to Route 15, and I caught a Gloom and evolved it immediately with the Leaf Stone that I bought a while ago. But with those 2, that should get me to 50. Great, you have caught our own 50 kind of Pokemon. Congratulations, here you go. The XP share is one of the best items in this game because what you can do is you just put it on a Pokemon that you want to train up but don't want to use, and it just gives it half of the experience you would have gotten from the battle anyway. But with that being said, we have finally made it to Fuchsia City from the long way, and I think we are just going to end the episode here. So I hope that everyone enjoyed watching. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Next time, we're going to be going around Fuchsia City and doing the gym that is here. But until then, happy adventuring!